Joining us now is Peebles Corporation founder and CEO Don Peebles. Welcome. Good to see you, Don. Thanks so much for joining us. What do you make of these polls?
Well, look, I think that this is a race on the Republican side between Donald Trump and Ben Carson. I think that their voter base is not going to Jeb Bush. It's not going to go to Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz. So in the end of the day, the Republicans are looking for a brand new candidate in a new direction, an outsider. And so I think ultimately they'll settle down. And when they settle down and look at qualifications, Carson's people are going to start moving to Trump a bit more. I think this is a race for the nomination for Donald Trump to lose.
So, somebody made the point earlier, though, that these polls are all about like a popularity contest. If somebody knows the name, heard the name, then they'll say, yeah, I'll vote for that person. But it doesn't necessarily sort of, turn into that on Election Day.
No, I think we're looking at something different now. I think we are seeing the country changing. I think the Republican Party is looking for innovation. They're looking for an outsider. The Democrats are as well. That's why you see Bernie Sanders at 35%. No one in their right mind thinks he's capable of running the country. But they want to change. In terms of Carson and Trump, I think the people are looking at management skills with Donald Trump. Like him or not, they are more concerned with someone who's competent, and they want someone who's going to be straightforward with them and not be captive to the special interests that are dominating the political scene.
Not to mention, people are upset. I mean, their costs have gone up.
Exactly. I think really when you look at the Trump and the Carson percentages there, that's a percentage that are angry, right? Which is significant and which may, in fact, be the majority. And by the way, they should be angry because the last 7 years under this administration, Rex Tillerson just talked about it, sluggish. That's the only word you can use to describe this recovery in the United States, and maybe worse than sluggish, by the way, globally. But why is it sluggish? It's not because Americans aren't working hard and aren't innovating. It's because of policy hurdles to growth, mainly taxes and regulation.
Obamacare.
And look, so what are Americans seeing right now? They're seeing their paychecks basically sideline or very, very small pay increases, but they're seeing their health care costs and education. We've been talking about that a lot today. Health care and education absolutely skyrocket. So they're getting squeezed, and they're getting squeezed by Washington. I'm confident that any of these four Republican candidates, if they become president, will reverse that. But in my opinion, we need to elect somebody. You can't learn on the job as president. The United States has never elected, other than victorious war generals, we've never elected a political neophyte. I don't believe we're going to this time either. To me, it's a race between, and I love them both, the two Hispanic conservatives, Cruz and Rubio.
Yeah, and Monica, your column this week in the Washington Times is about Obamacare. Tell us.
Yes, and I'm going to call it Hillary Clinton. Don't forget, she is the grandmother of socialized medicine. And what I'm arguing here is that if you really loathe Obamacare, you're going to hate what the Democrats have coming next. Because the whole setup of Obamacare, baked into the policy, baked into the cake, was a collapse of the system. And what you're seeing now is the beginning of that much anticipated and feared death spiral. Higher premiums, fewer enrollees, higher disappearing subsidies, collapsing co-ops. It's all been baked into the cake so that it will collapse, so that the Democrats like Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders can ride to the rescue with single payer, which was the objective all along.
Is that what you see, Don?
No, look, I think one, Hillary Clinton is much more practical than President Obama. He's more ideology driven. She's going to be practical. She certainly has her focus of an agenda, but she's going to be practical. I think Hillary Clinton also, by the way, beats any of the Republicans other than Trump. I think Trump.
You think Trump beats Hillary?
I think he gives her the most difficult one, because how does a Ben Carson stand up against Hillary Clinton? She's going to be much more qualified. The public's not going to be ready to pick him. He's a likable person. He's non-offensive. That's why he's polling so well. He's an agent of change. He's a smart person, and no one dislikes him. So his favorabilities are very high. Number two on favorabilities, though, as a human being, is Trump. So I think that you're going to see that different. Look, Obamacare has had a devastating impact financially on small businesses. If you look at the heavy tax that comes along with it, and that drives up, say, for example, dividend income on retirees and people who would invest their capital back into the marketplace, they're paying this Obamacare tax, and the workers are being taxed as well for the so-called, premium health care. So I think that that's a part of it. But these policies have made it so difficult for small businesses to get off the ground. And that's who we need to start creating more jobs here. And that's why our economy is so sluggish.
And that's what people are feeling in New York. And that's why a lot of people are looking to you to run for mayor in New York. Are you going to do it?
I'm giving a lot of thought to it because, look, I think that we are at a risk of being back into the 1970s or the 1980s. In 1970s, we lost 800,000 residents to the city. The economy was in the doldrums. This city right now is being propped up by real estate, by and large, a real estate industry in terms of a local economy, and that industry is in danger of being overstimulated, and it's also a victim of its own success, because the more housing prices go up, the more it prices people out of the market. So that, and of course, it's very difficult as a financial services business to stay in New York City and be competitive because of the overwhelming burden of taxes. And so I think this economy is in very, very big danger.
Right, and I agree with what you're saying, Don. As a lifelong New Yorker, you know, it's getting so bad here in the city, so we definitely need a change. But I think New York can kind of serve as a proxy for the entire country. You know, so President Obama's policies, just like Mayor de Blasio's policies, they're not working, and I don't believe they're going to work. So looking at Hillary Clinton running, you know, you may say she's more practical, but it's really an extension of those policies. So switching back to the Republican side, I think we need someone in there who's going to support someone like yourself, who was a small business, now big. We need someone who's going to support business. So I think Trump is someone who can do that. But as an American, are you comfortable with Trump and his lack of international experience? Are you comfortable with someone leading? Can he lead the country in China and in Russia?
I believe he can. If you look at the presidents of the past and what experience they've come in with, we elected an actor from California who was a governor of California, who became one of the most transformative presidents in our nation's history. No foreign policy experience. We elected a peanut farmer from Georgia who almost ruined the country. So, you know, America, we're very flexible. We just haven't picked a business person yet. Now there's an alternative. And I think, look, he is resonating with a lot of people. Plus, he presents a greater problem for the Democrats. The Democrats cannot win without a significant turnout of African-American voters. African-Americans for 2012 were 15% of the electorate, yet they were 12% of the population. And Obama won over 95% of that. Kerry won 88% of the African-American vote, and the African-American vote was less than 10% of the electorate, and he lost. And so Hillary Clinton's going to need to motivate African-Americans that way. It's going to be hard for her to do that, and a Trump-Carson ticket is going to be devastating to that kind of objective. And so she's going to have to fight so hard for her base, and that's why I think a Trump could be very effective, because it's all about persuading. I don't think any Republicans are going to move over to Hillary Clinton, and a lot of Democrats aren't either.
Don, we'll be watching your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don Peebles there. We'll be right back. Stay with us.